guys, Lise here from Hustle and Groove, and today I just want to talk to you about something that I see a lot of my students inside the I Am an Author coaching program really struggle with, and it's writer's block. Now, I've probably mentioned this a couple of times before, but I don't really suffer from writer's block anymore, and I think it's actually kind of a bit of a myth to actually have writer's block, because when you start writing and if you do things the right way, you can't really have writer's block. What it really comes down to is motivation and knowing what you're meant to be doing and when. So a couple of things that I want to chat to you today about writer's block is a couple of things that you can do to help you kind of avoid writer's block, and also to make sure that you're motivated and that you know what you're meant to be doing and when. So the first thing I want to chat about is making sure that you always have an outline for your content. So whether it's writing a book, writing a blog post, doing a course, anything like that, it helps, like amazingly big time helps, if you have an outline first. So that you never sit down to a blank page, because that is the most demotivating thing that you can do when it comes to starting to write anything, is sitting down in front of a computer, looking at a blank page and sitting there thinking, what am I going to write? Like, it just isn't the best way to kind of get yourself into that writing mindset. So always outline. And when I say this, I mean start with your main topic in mind. Like, whenever I write a book, I mind map the idea first. So I will sit down, with pen and paper, because I love color, and I will put the main topic of my book in the middle of the page, and I will then sit down and just kind of set a timer for about 30 minutes, and then just go nuts and write everything down that comes to mind that is about that topic. Now, you can apply this to a blog post, you can apply it to writing a course, writing a video script, basically any type of content you can apply mind mapping to. It's super simple. And then what I'll do from that point is I will look at my mind map, and then I will pull in similar ideas and start to kind of craft an outline. So generally when I'm outlining, I will start with maybe some ideas for the titles, the headings, chapters, whatever you want to call them. But none of this is set in stone. Everything is flexible at this point. So I want to kind of make that clear, that your outline and the headings that you kind of have for your outline aren't set in stone. So don't, none of this is about getting everything right from the outset. It's just about enabling you to be able to write when you've got the time to write. Okay? So you will grab those ideas and you'll put them into an outline. So like I said, I'll start with a heading or a chapter heading, whatever you want to call that, and then I will bullet point the ideas that are going to go under that heading. And those bullet points are generally at least 1 to 2 sentences long. So I've got an idea of what I want to cover in that actual chapter. So I'll go through and do that, whether it's a heading or a chapter title, it doesn't really matter. So I'll do the outline first. Then I'll transfer that to whatever writing program I'm using. So if I'm writing a book, that is going to be Scrivener. And if I'm doing my blog posts, I'm just using Google Docs. You can use Scrivener to do your blog posts. That's totally fine. I just like using Google Docs because that's my process, and that's what I work in. Definitely, when you're doing blog posts, do not write them directly into WordPress. You can lose all of your work that way. It's happened to me once, and it won't happen again. So that's why I'm always using Google Docs. It automatically saves for you, so you don't even have to worry about that. Like if you were writing an MS Word, you've got to remember to save. So just remember, outlining is one of the best ways to avoid writer's block. And then the second thing that will kind of help with this is making sure that you write every day. Practice makes perfect. So writing is not something that you are born with being amazing at. Like, it's not, some of us have that as like a God-given skill, but writing is not something that you can just learn by osmosis. You have to treat it like a skill. So think of it like learning a new instrument. The only way that you're going to get good at playing an instrument is by practicing, and writing is exactly the same. So do whatever it is that you need to do to write every day. So for me, I'm living, breathing writing. So I'm either writing in my book, I'm writing a blog post, or I'm writing email content, or I'm writing stuff for my students or my clients, whoever I'm working with. So I'm writing every single day, but I just want to take it one step further and make sure that you do a bit of writing that is just around your creative process. So for me, I am journaling in the morning every day, where I'm handwriting that content down, and I find that just unlocks my creative process a lot better and just gets all the stuff that's whirling around up here down on paper, out of here and into my journal, and then I kind of deal with it and that it's all done. And it really helps. So I do that in the morning, but you could also do that before you were sitting down to do a writing session. Now I recommend this to my students, because a lot of people struggle when they come to sit down to write. They're often trying to do it before they go to work or after work, and they've got all this stuff going on in their head. It's really hard to get into the writing mindset. So the best thing to do for yourself, if this is you, is to just take a moment, take 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be a long amount of time, and just sit and journal, write whatever's going on in your head, get it out, and then you can sit down and start writing. Really, really simple. So the other thing that I like to do if I'm suffering from writer's block, which is really more about motivation, is that sometimes you can get a little stale in the place that you write. So for me, I'm working from home, so I'm generally always within these four walls, but sometimes I need a bit of inspiration, and particularly if I'm just starting the writing process of a new book, I will definitely take myself out to my local fave cafe, order a chai latte, and just set myself up. And I will generally do about 2 or 3 writing sessions at the cafe, which means that my writing sessions are typically 90 minutes in length. So I'm going to be there for about 3 or 4 hours as I go through those writing sessions. So if you're struggling, like if you're finding that you're not super motivated to write, but that you've got to do this to stick to your deadline, change where you're writing. And that could just be simply moving from one location to another in your home. Like, it doesn't have to be a cafe, it doesn't have to be the local library, but just move, get yourself out of the kind of stagnant area that you're in, just to change it up. Just break routine and do something different. It will definitely help. Another thing that I love to do is just sometimes it doesn't matter what you do, you might have gone through all of these things and you are still struggling to write. Movement, that is exactly what you need to do. So get up, chuck some music on and dance around the house. That's exactly what I do. Go for a walk, get outside, just do something. What you're looking to do is just kind of break the train of thought that I'm not going to write. So that's generally what happens. Like, if you sit down, and this happens to people who've been writing for years. Like, I've been writing for a few years now, and I consistently write and publish books, but there are still times where I sit down and I'm not feeling it. Like, I'm just like, oh, I just really don't feel like writing. But stuff has to get done. Stuff has to happen. And the only way, and the only person that's really responsible for that is you. Like, nobody else is going to tell you what you need to do and when you need to do it except for you. So you're responsible. So I do whatever I can to make sure that I'm meeting my deadlines and targets. So if I'm still struggling and I've gone through all of the stuff that we've just chatted about and I'm still struggling, then I will definitely move. I will either have a little mini dance party, or I'll go outside for a walk. Particularly right now, we are coming into summer here in New Zealand, so the weather is improving, so I'll definitely go out and just break that train of thought. And I normally go for about 30 minutes. That's all it takes, and I come back and I'm fresh, and writing is a lot easier. So the other thing that you can do is recharge. Like, we are quite often hustling all the time and not taking those breaks. So I've already mentioned that I tend to write in 90-minute blocks, but I also do focus blocks. Like everything that I do is always done in those 90-minute blocks. At the end of a 90-minute block, I basically have a 30-minute buffer where I can take a break. Like I can just get some downtime, go for a walk, have that mini dance party, whatever, get some food. Just do whatever it is that you need to recharge. And that could be meditating, that could just be lying on your back and looking for shapes in the clouds. It's one of my favorite things to do. So recharge. You can't constantly continually be hustling and then expect yourself to be able to just sit there and just pump out content. It's just not going to happen. And then one of the other things that I like to do, just as an aside, it's really not going to help you with writer's block, but it will just help you improve your writing, is to always leave it for 24 hours before you come back and edit it. Definitely do not edit straight after you have finished a block of writing, just because it's still fresh in your mind and you don't allow your creative juices to kind of flow and come up with more ideas. So having that distance just kind of allows that to happen. So when it comes to writer's block, I'm going to call BS on writer's block and say it's more about motivation. So if you are struggling to motivate yourself to write, make sure that you try one of the strategies that I just explained. And that is, trying, do an outline, or, make sure that you're practicing your writing every day. Free write in a journal before you sit down to write. Move around, have a dance party, change where you're working and change where you're writing. Just do everything that you can to basically break up the monotonous, line that's going through your head that basically says, I don't want to write, I can't write. Any variation on that. And if you have any questions about what I've just chatted about, make sure you pop them in the comments below. And if you want more, come and check everything out on hustleandgroove.com, and I'll talk to you soon.